Welcome to Seek Reality with Roberta Grimes. Joyous conversations about what the afterlife evidence and modern science combine to tell us is true about our one reality. You have nothing to fear. You are eternal and you are perfectly loved. Knowing the truth changes everything. Now, here's Roberta.
Welcome to Seek Reality. I'm Roberta Grimes, and I'm so happy you're with us today. My dear friends, no one who has ever been a new mother will ever forget the moment when she first held her first baby in her arms. You know then that you would do anything for that child, to protect that child, to help that baby grow, to always keep your baby safe. And frankly, I have to say, given my age, that if there's anything you love even more, and I hate to say this, it's your first grandchild. Oh my goodness. I have a little apology here. I used to be a lunatic driver until the moment when my middle child started to have her brood. And then, oh my goodness, I bought the world's safest car, and I have been the world's safest driver ever since. Even though I know now that there is no such thing as death, I know I'll get to see them all again. I can really identify with the unimaginable horror of having a child leave this world, child or grandchild, before we do. I don't even use the word die with regard to a child. I'm going to say this again, though, and I'll say it for the simple fact that it's true. Nobody ever dies. I mean that nobody ever dies. But still, if you cannot touch your child or your grandchild, cannot tuck that baby into bed at night, it feels like a horrible tragedy, and it is a horrible tragedy. So we've been sharing with you lately the stories of some mothers and fathers who have amazingly found their child's picture on our wonderful friend Sonia Rinaldi's communications from stations in the greater reality. And our guest today is Camille Dan, who is another such grieving mother. It was my beautiful friend Sandra Champlain who first brought Camille to my attention, and she told me how much Camille has been doing lately to help other grieving mothers to find ways to heal, to feel better, to move on a little bit, which I think is really beautiful. I mean, people who are grieving, who look to help other people, those are really, really special people. And that's what Camille has been doing. Camille has been finding ways that she can do something for other people. One of the things she's just done is to publish Gathering at the Doorway, which is an anthology of signs, visits, and messages from the afterlife. It's a collection of stories, both anecdotal and research-based, from over 40 authors from around the world. People from nearly every continent and background share stories that have this common thread. Camille told me when she emailed me about it that she planned to publish the book this summer before the Helping Parents Heal conference in Arizona in August. And some of the keynote and guest speakers at this upcoming conference, as we talk today, have contributed either a chapter, a foreword, or an endorsement to the book. And Camille said that after her eldest son Aaron's transition in September of 2019, that she's been on what she calls an incredible journey. And we're going to talk to her about that today. Camille, welcome to Seek Reality. I'm so happy to have you with us, especially since you've been doing such wonderful things for others.
Hi, Roberta. Thank you so much for having me. And it's such an honor to be on your show. I've been following you for a while now. Especially since my son transitioned. And I'm very grateful for all you do.
Oh, bless you, dear. That's very sweet of you. I'm grateful for what you're doing, too. Tell us Aaron's story.
Yeah, so sadly, Aaron left his earthly life on September 22nd of 2019. It came as a shock, very unexpected, and the grief journey began there. Something parents never expect. We don't expect to outlive our children, and we don't know what to do with this out-of-order loss. And I was definitely one of those parents who had no experience with the afterlife. So, of course, I thought of it as, okay, it's over. I'll never see my son again, never get a hug from him. He's never walking through that door again. Well, not long after Aaron's transition, a friend of mine, her name is Arlene, she's contributed a chapter to the anthology, came over with a handwritten note that she claimed she had channeled from Aaron to give to me. And there were details in this letter that she couldn't have known, even though Aaron was 31 and we'd known each other since our children were born. The next day, we had a meeting with the detectives. Aaron died in an accident. And one of the detectives said something that was word for word in the note.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. I don't remember another thing he said. I just stood there with my mouth hanging open.
Wow.
Yeah. So, a bit about Aaron in life. He was such a brilliant child, ahead of developmental expectations it was obvious from a really early age. And just a generous heart, a sensitive soul, and just a wonderful child. For example, when he was 2 years old, actually under 3 years old, he picked up some coins that fell out of my pocket on the way to school. He was in nursery school. And he gave me a fight. He had to take them to school, and I was nervous about it. And about an hour after dropping him off at school, the principal called, and she said, Aaron shockingly gave every child in the class a coin and told them to put it in the charity box. Meanwhile, here I was thinking she was calling to tell me some kid choked on a coin. Yeah.
Bless him. Isn't that a beautiful story?
Thank you.
But what a beautiful mom you must have been to him that he knew to do that. That doesn't come naturally.
I don't, in him, it seemed to. He was always ahead of where I would expect a child that young to be. He just had this old soul wisdom. And so looking back now that my mind has opened up, like Sandra, I'm a former skeptic.
Yeah.
So now that my mind has opened up, I get it. He is an old soul.
But that's so often true. I can't tell you how many mothers and people even who have transitioned as children, the mothers have said this or that child as a young child was doing these things. I would look at this kid in amazement and say, how did they know to do that? It's just amazing to me. Yes.
Yes. And Aaron, Aaron's my first child. And so this all came in amazement to me. Everything he would do and say, I just, I thought, wow, where did that come from? So I'd love to take credit for all of it.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah.
Yes.
And, going forward, he did experience some struggles in life, being so sensitive and so giving, and sometimes not as careful maybe with that as he might have been. And, kids get to an age where as parents, we'd like to hover over them, but we can't. And, so growing up, he went through some struggles, but when he got into his late 20s, he got through that and he was doing extremely well. So at 31, to find out from when the police knock on your door, and we had just gone to our favorite pizza restaurant a few nights before, and we had an amazing conversation. He was telling me about his plans. So, so the initial shock and grief fog that I was in lasted a long time. But I think Aaron, in his wisdom and his brilliance in life, and I call him a brilliant star in the sky for me. He's been a guiding light for me since right after he transitioned. Soon after that note from Arlene, I began reading books right away, trying to soothe my soul and help me in my grief journey. And a number of books mentioned getting out in nature. So we decided, let's go up north. We'll go to the lake and where it's peaceful and we can go on beautiful nature walks. So we got in the car, and it was now October of 2019. And up here in Canada, we get the beautiful fall colors on the trees.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the highways just lined with them. And, I was kind of lulled into a trance, marveling at these beautiful fall colors. And at that instant, I was struck by a tidal wave of grief when I realized Aaron is never going to see this again.
Yes.
And immediately I heard him, as if he was a passenger in the car with us, say, "I do see it, Mom."
Oh, golly.
He said, "I see the colors of the trees, but not like you do." He said, "I can't explain how brilliant these colors are, but you'll know when you're here." He said, "I see the energy that the trees are emitting." So from that point onward, he began telling me things about his afterlife. And at the same time, he began sending me signs that corresponded with the things he was telling me. And I could hear him in his voice. And I still do. It's how many, almost 3 years later, I still hear him. He still talks to me. He still talks about energy and the universe. And he's basically given me a crash course in physics and metaphysics that I never learned about before. So
but isn't that beautiful? I mean, let's stop and think about that. He's not there physically,
right,
but he is still talking to you. You know for a certainty that Aaron is alive. He's as alive as he ever was. And he's talking to you. He's a part of your life as he always was. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
It's so beautiful. And, I was a hard nut to crack on that, being a former skeptic.
Yeah.
Despite
but
the
we
fact.
all were, yes. But
Yeah.
I was too. It took 2 years of reading this stuff, intensively reading communications, before I started to say, maybe it's true.
Yeah. Yes.
Anybody with half a brain has got to be skeptical, because you look around and where are they anyway? I mean, you got to be skeptical. But sooner or later you start saying, and when you hear his voice, and of course he's alive, but isn't that beautiful?
It's for a long time, I was back and forth. It is so miraculous when you can hear his words and his messages in his voice, that you start to think maybe you're hallucinating, or maybe it's your imagination. But actually, Aaron said it is your imagination, because your imagination is part of your connection. So he's just filled me with so much information in a short span of time that it's just been evidence for me, that, it's undeniable evidence. I can't keep hanging on to skepticism any longer.
Yes. How beautiful, Camille. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
So what else has he told you? What is he telling you now?
Thank you for asking that. Because that's what I'm doing is all about. It's all about what Aaron is telling me. I came to the realization before I published my first